Welcome, siblings of the storm, to another Tempest Runner transmission, the show where we talk about everything Star Wars The High Republic. I'm Sam.
I'm Liz.
I'm Manny.
And we will be your Tempest Runners this evening. So, this episode we're going to be talking about Mari San Tekka, who is one of the new characters introduced in Light of the Jedi. However, her family name is not so new. We know of a San Tekka, introduced in The Force Awakens, Lor San Tekka, who was an archaeologist who seemed to be hunting for Force relics, light side, dark side, all that crazy stuff. He's kind of like a Indiana Jones-esque figure. So, I guess the first place we should start is talking about who is Mari San Tekka. What do we know of her? Manny, what do we know about Mari San Tekka so far?
So, we are first introduced to Mari San Tekka in a chapter with Marchion Ro. I believe it is chapter 24?
Yeah, which is in the pod,
yes.
right?
We see Marchion Rose in the Gaze Electric, traveling through hyperspace as he meets with the source of the paths for the Nihil. The paths being the unconventional hyperspace travel that the Nihil employ, that crosses across the hyperspace lanes. So, we see Mari San Tekka. She's an incredibly old woman, hooked up to lots of machinery, keeping her alive, and she can see these hyperspace paths that no one can know. Again, she's from the San Tekka clan, who I believe were introduced earlier in the book, and they seem to know what was going on. They know about Mari San Tekka. You know, they reference that she must be dead by now.
Right, but they seem to be lying about, like, when Elzar Mann and Avar Kriss go and question them about it. There's definitely Elzar Mann senses that they're lying about something, so there seems to be some sort of mystery surrounding her that the San Tekkas are clued up on. We don't know what that is, but yeah.
Yes, so Mari San Tekka was incredibly integral to the San Tekka fortune, how they made a name for themselves, which was charting through hyperspace, the old pioneers. And somewhere along the line, she got captured by Marchion's father, or even just his family in general. And she became the key part of the Nihil and the secret of all their power, really.
Yeah, they need her. They need her for locating the paths. We don't really know much about the incident and how she got her powers, because I think in the book it said that she got her powers at a very young age. I think it was like 6.
But yeah, the book mentions at the age of 6 something happened to her as she was traveling out through hyperspace, and her mind opened up and she could see all the paths and all the ways to traverse that no one else could.
It's freaky actually. So, I mean, does anyone have any theories about Mari San Tekka? I definitely do have a completely crackpot theory of Mari San Tekka and what she could be all about. But does anyone, before I maybe go into that, does anyone else have some theories as to what Mari San Tekka could be, or what's special about her in any way?
Just the obvious that she's force sensitive.
Yeah.
Usually around that age, or usually it's younger than 6. People start to realize they have like abilities and stuff like that.
Right.
She may have suppressed them, and maybe she joined the clan at that young age to learn, and they just used her for that, or something else.
Well, yeah. I mean, so did it say that they were exploring the unknown regions at the time or something, or?
I think they were just charting, because her family, they, hyperspace in the Outer Rim. So I think they were just, like, traveling through, rough hyperspace, figuring out all that stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, maybe they came across something, like a force phenomenon, or something like that showed her these...
That maybe awakened her?
Yeah, or maybe even, like, infused her with the power. The force can work in weird ways. We don't know if it, like, awakened the force in her, or maybe just showed her, like, the possibilities of these paths. The only thing that I know where this power has been seen before in any kind of way is, I believe it's been a while since I've read these books, but I think in Thrawn... What's the second Thrawn book of the...
Was it Alliances?
Alliances, yes.
Alliances,
that was the book where we learned about the ability
Skywalkers.
to be able to... Yeah, the Skywalkers, to be able to travel through unknown hyperspace lanes.
Yes, but not the Skywalkers as you know them.
Yeah.
These are different kind of Skywalkers.
Literal Skywalkers.
Yes, so for those who haven't read the Thrawn trilogy, the new one, which is pretty great, by the way, the Skywalkers are what the Chiss, that's Thrawn's race, what the Chiss call their Force sensitives. They're usually young children, and they use their abilities, and they teach them how to use them to navigate hyperspace and just navigate the unknown regions, because that's where the Chiss live, and there's not that many charted paths, which is why the Republic has a hard time going out there. The Republic and the
Yeah.
Empire, and why no one's really messed with the Chiss in a while.
Right.
So it's been established that the Force can allow beings to chart through space, but what Mari San Tekka is doing is kind of on a whole nother level than even what the Chiss were trained to do. And in that book, Vader learns about what they do, and he tries to, do their technique, which he can. He isn't an expert at it, as it's the first time he's used the Force to, chart through space. But it's definitely something that all Force users can do if they attempted it. But it seems that only the Chiss have really focused on it before.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, the Jedi would maybe focusing, like, they focus on more of an all-encompassing idea of what the Force is, like opening themselves up. But I guess if you train from a young age, this is the Force and this is the only thing it can do, and this is its only purpose, then it makes a little sense why the Chiss would be so good at it. But if I remember correctly from the Thrawn books, I can't remember if it's mandatory or like if it just happens. They lose their power at a young age, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes. It's a little bit vague.
Don't the girls lose it when they hit puberty? Wasn't that... I feel like that was a...
Yeah.
Also, like, only... females have it for longer, I believe, than the males do.
Right, which obviously Mari San Tekka is a woman, but then she didn't lose it when she hit puberty, obviously, because she's like an old woman. She's like an old woman.
Well, she's also not a Chiss either, so...
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it's part of the Chiss biology that they lose the Force, or maybe they they don't have the right mindset for it or something. It's very interesting. I haven't finished the Thrawn prequel yet, but if it goes into the Skywalkers more, that'll be interesting to learn about.
Right. I wonder if that'll maybe uncover some more of the mystery, or they'll both kind of go hand in hand with what this big mystery is. If it is at all connected in any way, we don't know if it is. It could be something completely different. But judging by the fact that it's the only use of this power we've really seen before, even if it is on a smaller scale to what Mari San Tekka can do, it's still the closest thing we can go off. And I think it's a relatively safe assumption to assume that they are connected, or it's the same sort of power. Yeah, I just wonder. I mean, it is interesting that Mari San Tekka didn't have these powers. It's not like she was. The way the book describes it is that it's a sudden thing, right? It's not a... Oh yeah, she was always gifted with the Force. She can move stuff with her mind, and then she knows how to use these hyperspace routes. It seems to be like a sudden thing, so it's definitely an event that happens in the book that makes it like this, which is what's interesting to me. And I wonder if, obviously the San Tekka, those married couple that Avar and Elzar speak to, they know they're lying about something. So there's definitely a secret there. We don't know what it is. We don't know why they're lying. But I think there's a secret there, and I think we're definitely going to obviously know more about that as the book goes on. But yeah, Mari San Tekka, so she's obviously being kept... She really is on the brink of death. I'm pretty sure at one point, because Marchion has her in this containment thing, right, that kind of keeps her alive, but he zaps her. He's kind of horrible to her when he pretends to be nice to her, but when he wants something from her, he like zaps her, if I remember correctly, with this like...
Yeah, I literally just reread the passage.
And he
zaps her. Yeah, and then the woman or whoever is taking care of her said that her heart was like paper.
Right. She's like on the brink of death. It's so sad. I think she even dies at one point, and they have to like bring her back or something. It's really like so dark.
If it didn't happen in the book, I'm sure it's happened at some point.
Yeah. And Marchion just doesn't care. He does because he needs the paths. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's saying that she was passed down from generation to generation, like from his family, and they just kept her in that pod for years.
Assumingly, because Asgar Ro has been mentioned before quite frequently in Marchion's chapters as his father. And only briefly do they mention Marchion's grandmother, and she seems to be almost like the... I wonder if... it seems that she's probably not alive, because obviously I'm assuming she would be in the book, but she definitely seems to be maybe like the architect. I don't know what this has to do with Mari San Tekka, but it's just a stray thought I have going on in my head. She seems to be the architect of whatever went on with the Rose And I reckon she was probably one of the people to capture Mari San Tekka and take her and use her for her own purposes, and then pass down from generation to generation. You know, it didn't. If I remember correctly, it doesn't just say that Asgar Ro had her, and then it seems like she's.
It says Martian Ro's own family had taken Mari San Tekka, stolen her for no reason to call it anything other than what it was. They had used her skills to find things they believed they needed back then, and they had just kept her. Told her whatever stories required her to keep her happy and working.
Oh, so this, you know what? Kind of even sounds like they had her before whatever went on with Marchion's home planet and when they had to leave and on the Gaze Electric. I wonder if, like, they had her even before that when the Ro race was still around and when, Marchion had more of a family than just, just nobody.
Maybe kidnapping kids is one of the bad things they did that made the Jedi turn their eye towards them.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, it might have been more what they were trying to find with, if they have Mari San Tekka and they're trying to find these things, because it said they were trying to find things they thought they needed at the time. We don't know what that is. That's left intentionally ambiguous, but that is interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to get into my my crackpot theory about Mari San Tekka, right? And buckle up, because I'm sure I am like 90% positive I'm wrong here. I'm sure... I know I am. I know I'm wrong. Deep down, I know I'm wrong. But I really hope I'm right, because I think it would be great. So, I think Mari San Tekka is the secret mastermind behind everything, in terms of the High Republic and everything that will happen. I think she is the true villain of this era. And I think that she's using Marchion. Obviously, Marchion is like none the wiser. He thinks he's using her. Because in the scenes where he's torturing her and tormenting her and questioning her, and you can see that on the surface of it, she's like a delirious old lady, right? And she's struggling. She doesn't really know where she is, and you can definitely look. That is probably the interpretation of that scene you're meant to take away. However, all I'm gonna say is that when I was listening to the audiobook, I couldn't help but feel that Mari San Tekka was screwing with Marchion. Because Marchion needed... Because if you remember the scene that he comes into her, he needs something from her. Like, he desperately needs it. I think he needs it to, like, find out where the emergencies are happening so they can find the black box of the Legacy Run and destroy it. Or something like that, right? I'm pretty sure it's something along those lines. It almost seems like she's intentionally playing the sweet old lady routine, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys see any of this at all? Am I crazy?
So I kind of see where you're getting this from. After she tells him whatever he needed to know, she's asking him about his day. She says, "How are things going with your work, Marchion? That big fancy plan of yours, are you making progress?" Like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's definitely messing with him. And then he goes on to think to himself about how Asgar Ro hadn't created the Nihil, know how he ever ruled them, blah, blah, blah. He was, like, talking about, like, his dad, and not to himself, but then it's in relation to how they got her.
Sure.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those theories, I think, that sounds like I've pulled it from nowhere, and I probably have, right? I'm not trying to say this is, like, the definitive answer of, like, the mystery of the High Republic era, but there's just a couple things that kind of strike me as a little bit odd. It's the fact that she does seem to have this power. And here's the real kicker, here's the big thing, right? Marchion Ro is determined to find out who killed his father. Now, we're kind of led to believe that that's Kassev, right? But it's left very, very vague, and I personally don't think it is. He asked Kassev if he killed his dad, and then Kassev's like, well, what are you talking about? But you don't really know if he's still playing a game. Though I suppose he's nearly dead at that point, so why wouldn't you just be like, yeah, I killed your dad and I enjoyed it, I don't know. And then Marchion says something about, well, even if it's not, then, I'll find out who it is eventually. Which, I don't see the point in having that line of dialogue in the book if the mystery still hasn't been solved. And if the mystery is that, it's just another Tempest Runner, then I don't really see, like, the dramatic reveal in that. Like, we know they don't really like Marchion. We know they probably have their own plans for power. There's no, like, big kind of, like, big punch, big gut punch to that reveal. that it's just going to be one of the Tempest Runners. And to me, it seems like something kind of big that's set up. It's kind of one of Marchion Ro's core drives in the book. Like, he genuinely seems to want to avenge his father. We don't know what their relationship was like, but he genuinely seems to want to avenge him, and it's a driving force for his character.
Oh yeah, I found another passage.
Oh sure.
Asgar Ro did not bring the pass to the Nihil just for the credits it would give him, though. He had a goal in mind: redemption and revenge for his family and many others. He had not lived to see it come into fruition, and had passed it down to his son. So Asgard, he wanted to do something. So basically, Marchion is just completing what his father started.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems to be something to do with the Jedi. In the Marchion Ro episode, I talked about how, well, we all kind of talked about how we think the Jedi had something to do with what happened to his planet and why they might want revenge on the Jedi. So, I think Mari San Tekka could very well be a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
A Sith Lord?
You're full of it.
I know last episode I said the Sith weren't going to come into play in the High Republic. I may have changed my mind. So, we know the Sith have a vendetta against the Jedi, obviously, right? We know this from the start. What if, from the very start of this, Mari San Tekka had set all this up, she'd set everything up with the Nihil, not the Nihil, she set things up with the Ro race to end up having a conflict with the Jedi that led to the destruction, that led to her and Asgar Ro and, Marchion Ro potentially, we don't know if he was born at that point, leaving the planet with them, finding the Nihil, who take advantage of her power to wage war on the Jedi and the Republic. So what if the Nihil are simply a step in Mari San Tekka's plan to crush the Jedi? She's using them as their tool, and Marchion truly believes that she's his tool, but it's the other way round. And I think Asgar Ro figured it out, and I think he went to kill her. I think he figured something out, and I think that what happened is she got to him first somehow. Maybe through the Force, she snapped his neck or crushed his throat. I don't know. I don't think it actually says how he died or the circumstances of his death. I think that was left purposely vague so they could have it in a story later. But that's what I think happened, and I can't. We know that Marchion needs the paths, right? That's a big thing. He knows that. We think the big thing is that Mari San Tekka is going to die, right? And then he's going to lose the paths, and it's going to be in shambles, the Nihil, and he's going to have to do something to gain them back, right? To gain the power back. What if, instead of that, he finds out that Mari San Tekka actually killed his father? So, the two driving forces of Marchion's character is crush the Jedi using the paths, and avenge his father's death. What happens, dramatically wise, in the narrative, if those two driving forces clash? To me, that's good drama, and that is precisely the reason why I want Mari San Tekka to be a Sith Lord, or maybe not a Sith Lord, but maybe that's part of the theory that wouldn't pay off. But at least the mastermind behind the Nihil.
And she could just be a classic, just a villain. But yeah, I think if I was watching this like it was like a modern an animated Disney movie where everything's got a twist villain now.
Sure.
I definitely would suspect Mari San Tekka is one of those twist villains.
Right, the kind
just you wouldn't expect it.
Right, Star Wars is no stranger to having the weak.
Maybe she can have a duel with Yoda, and they're both really old, and they're doing flips.
That would be cool.
Sick. Old people fight.
How old is she actually? Because I think she's over 100 at this point, right?
She's several generations old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. She's old, right? Isn't the whole thing about the Sith trying to live forever? Maybe the secret is just to be an old lady.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
Maybe.
And
having machines keep you alive.
She figured out how to cheat death.
And Sith rituals. They need Sith artifacts.
All these tanks of tortured people just laying around in that ship.
Yeah.
Dark side energy. Secrets only the Sith knew.
We might be onto something.
Another cool point of dialogue in the book. Well, it's not really dialogue. After she had asked what happened to the legacy run that Martian had told her, she started laughing, And
Ooh.
it says
Whoa.
she laughed a surprisingly rich sound. Marcion had no idea where it came from. Her chest looked like you could collapse the whole apparatus with the flicker of his finger. Yeah.
So isn't
What a
that...
sick, twisted,
So
evil old
she's
grandma.
laughing. Yeah, she's laughing about people dying and all this stuff going on.
Right, and
he's
Good
like,
job,
"What?"
young man. Even I haven't murdered that many people in one go.
Yeah,
Proud of
pretty
you,
much.
But not only that, it's kind of foreshadowing the fact that there is this hidden strength within her,
Yeah, because
right? You know,
yeah,
because you look at someone like Palpatine, right, and he's old in Return of the Jedi. He's like not crippled, but he's like old and wrinkly. But you know, he's there's a presence to him. You can tell there's a strength to him. Maybe not physically, but just there's like a burning fire inside him of hatred and rage, and you know. And I
Yeah.
think that with Mari San Tekka, it might be a similar thing. I mean, well, we know she's not Plagueis because we know Plagueis is a guy from Palpatine's story, right? You know, he refers to him as a he. But she could be. I mean, hey, Manny, here's a thing for you. With your theory about Marcion being Plagueis, what if she is Plagueis' master,
Whoa.
and Plagueis turns out to be Marcion Ro,
big
and
brain.
she trains him to be a Sith, and she names him Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh yeah. Oh whoa.
Because
whoa.
he brings plagues. I don't know.
Yeah.
He brings
Hey, yeah, that could be-
destruction wherever
I don't.
he
I don't
goes.
think it needs to have a. I don't think it needs to have a meaning because, you know, Palpatine just seemed to pull Vader out of his ass in
Yeah.
Revenge
But
of the
it does
Sith, so-
mean father in German, so there is
Yeah,
that.
but that was just.
maybe-
yeah, it was
maybe
just a
Vader-
coincidence.
Well, maybe Vader does mean something in like the Sith language or something. Like,
Yeah, maybe George Lucas just thought it was cool.
well,
I
obviously
mean,
that's the
originally
meta
Darth
reason,
was his
right?
first name, so
Okay. Well,
you know.
yeah. Palpatine just pulled it from nowhere.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. So Plagueis can just be from nowhere.
I mean, the San Tekkas are from Naboo, right? You know who else is from Naboo?
Oh.
Jar Jar.
He's about to say Palpatine, but okay, Jar Jar's fine as well.
Yeah. I was gonna go with the Darth Jar Jar theory there for a second, but you kind of beat me to it.
So hang on. So is Darth
And there was
Mary...
like, wasn't there like a whole Sith temple thing on Naboo that was in the
I
Clone
thought
Wars
that was...
where Dooku was hiding out, or was it just a random temple? That might have been a Legends thing.
I remember. I know there's a hidden Sith temple on Coruscant, like underneath
Yeah.
the Jedi Temple. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. I don't
Yeah, no,
remember
I
there being
remember-
one on Naboo. I could be wrong.
No, I just remember there was an episode of Clone Wars where Dooku was hiding in this temple, and I was like, Sith?
Huh.
Question mark? I don't know. I think that was a thing in Legends where Palpatine as a kid found some Sith stuff on Naboo. Or maybe I'm just making this all up and it's really wrong.
I mean, it would make sense.
But maybe Naboo is just a breeding ground for Sith.
Yeah, like Plagueis might be from. Well, no, not if it's Marcion Ro, but.
Yeah, Mari San Tekka might be from there, you know, Palpatine.
And then he goes back to like Mari San Tekka's homeworld after she dies or whatever, or when he's ready to find an apprentice of his own, and he finds Palpatine because he knows.
Yeah, he finds
the
this
Nabooians
kid and he's
is-
like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Sheev." And he's like, and that's the end of the High Republic.
You know what though? I could totally see that happening.
It's like the
I could totally
post-credit
see that
scene,
happening. Yeah.
and then he gives him like a dark hoodie. This
Oh
is
yeah, he
origin
goes
story.
here, wear this dark, and it's actually a robe that Mari San Tekka used, and he gives it to
Yeah.
Palpatine. It's like the Palpatine theme plays, and it's
Great.
foreboding. But you know, joking aside, I think that look, I know I'm wrong. I don't think the story's gonna go in this direction. She's probably just a sweet old woman who, you know, I don't know. You know, Marcion's using her. Marcion's the bad guy here, right? She's a sweet old lady. But I don't know that scene, that first introduction scene where we see her and she just seems like she's fucking with him, man. Like the more he wants the answers, the more she's kind of playing that, oh, I don't know. Oh, give me a minute to think. You know, I just, there's something not right
Evil
about her. I
Yoda?
don't think.
It'd be like
Evil
poetry.
Yoda.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
You know,
Hey.
instead of pretending to feed him like frogs, she pretends to have a seizure.
yeah. Well, I mean, no, but that is like what the Sith do. They pretend to be these figures that are not. You know, Palpatine pretends to be this, you know, really nice, friendly, paternal figure towards Anakin. We don't know how Plagueis, you know, seduced Palpatine, but you know, it wouldn't be a far stretch to imagine that it was a similar scenario. You know, that the Sith like to play weak. You know, especially at this point where they can't really out themselves, and if you do want to have the Sith kind of work in the shadows, I think Mari San Tekka would be a perfect way to do it. But yeah, no, so that's my theory, and, you know, please, in the comments, let me know if you think I'm speaking bullshit, because I am. I know I am. But if you think that maybe I'm right, then, hey, stay tuned with High Republic books, because, you know, maybe I called it first. Well, probably not. I'm sure someone's already had the idea before me. So before I give it to Liz for the outro, I just want to mention, if you want to join the discussion, you can find us on r/Great Hall of the Nihil, which is our subreddit. And if you want to talk to us on Discord, you can join the Starlight Beacon, which I'll link in the description below. Liz, do you want to take the outro?
We hope you keep riding the storm with us all the way to join us for the next episode. And remember, we are all the Nihil.